Spoke with Drew Brees earlier this morning, and he showed up about 9 minutes late. And I opened up the question to Drew Brees by asking him, when was the last time you were late for a meeting?
It's probably been a while. Why do you ask?
I don't know. You sound guilty.
I am guilty. I was 9 minutes late. I was 9 minutes late on you. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No worries. No worries. I mean, I'm in mid-season form already. You're just in training camp, so it's a little, a little different.
I know. Forgive me. I'm just still shaking off the rust here. Yeah.
But you wouldn't get fined if you showed up late for a meeting, would you?
No, I absolutely would. Everybody's treated the same around here.
Zion comes to town, and all of a sudden, it's a pretty big deal. And then he comes over to, camp with you guys. That was a pretty big buzz. It felt like. Do you think you got a spot on the roster for Zion?
He's a big guy. He could definitely help us as a red zone threat if we really wanted to. Just a couple plays a game. Just jump up for some high point fade balls or. Maybe the back line of the end zone or something like that. He's a great athlete. Obviously, everybody's really excited to have him here in New Orleans, and I think we've kind of in a position with the Pelicans now where we can really build a solid foundation for the future. Not just him, but Jackson Hayes. We got, I think, with the 8th pick, and obviously that big trade with the Lakers and getting a bunch of other talent. But we got a great guard in Drew Holiday as well. So I think everybody's pretty pumped about the Pelicans this year.
Yeah, I could see the competitor in you when you're shooting. Here's Zion. You welcome him over as a guest, and then you want to beat him in that shooting contest. I could tell when you started to gear up a little bit.
Had to crank it up. Listen, I had to show the young fella that back in the day, I played a little two guard, and so. While I don't quite have the outside shot that maybe I used to, I can still throw it down every now and then.
As soon as that you guys started the shooting contest, I said to my guys, I said, Drew's going to win this. I said, he's a better shooter than Zion. And you're far more competitive than Zion is. Zion didn't know you were probably going to be that competitive.
Yeah. I think maybe I just kind of lured him in, Oh man, listen, it's casual, we're just gonna have fun, and deep down, I'm kind of sneaking into the Pelicans building after practice and getting some practice.
I like it.
That's pretty much how that went down.
You didn't play tackle football till high school, right?
Correct.
What about your three boys? What did you and Mom decide on that?
Well, if they do want to pursue it, then we'll probably wait till middle school at least. So until then, they'll play flag football. They're playing lacrosse. They're playing basketball. They're playing a little tennis. They're playing a little bit of everything. I think that's the best thing you can do for kids. Just expose them to as many sports as possible. Let them develop the skill set with all of them. And then at some point, if they ever want to, pursue a specific one and you start to specialize, make sure that's not until middle school or beyond, because the more sports they can play right now, the better it is for their overall development.
Kurt Warner a couple of years ago told me that I don't know if discouraged his kids or wanted to not play football. He'd prefer they didn't play football. You're following a Hall of Famer and plus the sport itself. Does that factor in at all?
Yeah, I think it's more maybe just the pressure and the expectation level that would come along with it. But I'd say at this point, I don't think any of my kids are going to play quarterback necessarily. So maybe that takes the pressure off a bit. I love what sports do for kids just in general. I think it's a great outlet. I think it's a great way to develop just overall skill development, overall athleticism, and the life skills you learn from sports, team sports especially. I mean, I was a sports junkie as a kid, and that's all I wanted to do. And so I'm not just going to assume that my kids are going to be that way. So I sit back and I just allow them to, pursue and show interest in what they want to do. And as soon as they do, then I jump in and I try to help them cultivate that. But shoot, no pressure from me as far as playing sports or not, although I do think it's one of the best things that kids can do.
Talking to the Saints quarterback, Drew Brees, how often does your age come up? Like daily basis?
No, I almost feel like it was coming up more last year, and maybe as you're approaching the 40 mark, that's when people talk about it more and more. And then once your birthday comes and goes, then everybody quits talking about it. I find that that's kind of been the case.
But do you think Brady made it irrelevant? Like it used to be, if you got over 35, you were old in that sport at that position. Now all of a sudden Brady blows through that, wins the Super Bowl, and we're not questioning age as much as maybe what we once did.
Yeah, maybe the ceiling's being lifted a little bit, right?
I think so. I mean, you look at Ben, you look at Rivers, Rodgers is going to get there. The conditioning, the eating, taking care of yourself. Brady says he's bulking up this year to take more hits. Have you ever done that?
Well, it's funny because I was 221 in college.
You weighed that much?
Program. Yeah, 221,
wow.
6 foot, 221. But we were, it was Big Ten, and we were running. I was actually running the ball a little bit, so felt like I kind of needed that. Plus, that was the college weight program, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like as I've gotten older, I've leaned out. I mean, I'm at the point where it's hard for me to keep on weight. I mean, I eat anything and everything in sight to keep my weight up. But I'm 202, 204. But I feel athletic. I feel like I can move. I feel like I've got quick twitch. So it's one of those where I think you just kind of find your balance, and maybe at different stages of your career, you just kind of hit different benchmarks as far as what you weigh and how that makes you feel. And I feel like maybe it was Shannon Sharp or even Tony Gonzalez that, as they got later in their careers, and obviously they're playing, the tight end position where, they got to have some bulk in order to, block and do different things that you're asking the tight end position to do. But from a receiving perspective, I feel like those guys kept just getting a little bit lighter each year, and it was almost just so it was less stress on their joints, just the ability to still play fast and be productive.
Your longest run from scrimmage
in the NFL?
Yeah,
21 yards.
22.
22.
That was back with the Chargers.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
I had one about 4 or 5 years ago in the Dome. It was about 45 yards, but I think there was a holding call at the line of scrimmage, so they brought it all the way back. But I'm going with that one.
Wait, but if there isn't a holding call, Drew, then you don't run for 45 yards. You know how that works, right?
How do you know that?
I'm going to guess there's holding on. There's holding on every play in the NFL, Drew.
Right.
Did you follow the NFL top 100 list there?
I followed a little bit of it. If it was on and I caught it in the background, I caught Alvin Kamara being 14, Mike Thomas being 13.
And you know where you are.
Well, I was just told that this morning. Yes.
Number 2 overall. Are you happy with that? Or does it bother you?
Well, all I know is this. I wholeheartedly agree with who got number 1, Aaron Donald.
You think he's the best player in football?
There's no question.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Who's the second best player in football?
I don't know. It might be you, Dan.
If I was in the NFL. But all kidding aside, second best player in football, too. And it's okay to say you.
Well, how do you not put the guy with 6 Super Bowl rings in there at number 2? All right.
They didn't. Why? I didn't understand that.
Here's the thing. While I appreciate the voting that put me at number 2, I think if you're even getting in the top 10, how do you differentiate who's in front of who at that stage, right? You could probably validate any of those guys in the top 10 as being number 2 or number 3 or number 4. So I think that's probably just a group.
It's also
in that area.
Yeah, and trying to figure out quarterback, like what is your measuring stick for greatness is like, this is how we grade quarterbacks. Like, this is where your ranking should be. It should be based on what?
I don't think it's as simple as saying it's one thing or another. I mean, first you'd say does the guy win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does the guy win? Does the guy win on a consistent basis? Is it a consistent level of play? Consistent level of productivity? All those things factor in.
Yeah, because we get into these arguments where somebody says, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers is overrated," and then I'll go, "Okay, he's over. What does that mean? He's overrated, or somebody's underrated?" And then you go, "Greatest quarterback of all time," and then, well, it's got to be Brady, and then it's Montana, and I go, I don't even know how to differentiate who's great, when they're great. How much the team, their defense, like it's kind of hard, but that's how we rank quarterbacks, is how many championships you have, whether that's fair or not.
Listen, it's all I know is to have 6 of them is pretty unbelievable.
Are you going to call Brady and apologize for being ranked second on the NFL top 100 list?
No, you know what's funny? I have such a great appreciation for this game and for the guys who have played the quarterback position for a long period of time in this game too. And so as I look to, I think each era, I think each generation kind of has its greatest quarterbacks of all time, because each era, each generation, I think it stands alone, because of maybe the circumstances at the time or the rules at the time or what have you. Like the numbers that guys put up now compared to 20 years ago or 30 years ago, like it's not even close, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that the guys now are better than the guys were then. It's just that's the way the game was played then versus now, right? There's things those guys had to deal with that we don't have to deal with, right? There's rules that are maybe more in our favor now than they were then. But there's more complexity with defense now than there was then. And so you could go back and forth on, which era is better and why. But at the end of the day, I think they just all stand alone. And I think we should sit back and we should appreciate like what guys like Otto Graham were able to accomplish, right? Or guys like, Fran Tarkenton or Terry Bradshaw, and then on into Joe Montana and Elway and Marino and, all these guys, Bart Starr back in the 60s, and so it's just, I think each generation stands alone, and we should sit back and really appreciate what all those guys accomplished during their era.
By the way, I picked you guys to go to the Super Bowl last year, and I know we have to get past that bad call. I don't know how you're getting past it, but I'm not past it yet, just to let you know.
Well, I'd ask you, is there anything you can do about it?
You guys win this year.
Is there anything that Dan Patrick can do to change that right now?
I'm willing to testify in that lawsuit that apparently that fan has, filed. Like,
should we put you on the competition committee?
Ooh. Okay, there's no 18 games, by the way. There's no 18-game schedule. Maybe 17 and an extra wild card or so, but that's it. Okay, if I'm on the competition committee, yes.
No, listen, if you're trying to increase regular season games, you're off. You're
okay. All right, well, then no 17 games. 16, we stay, and we add maybe another playoff wild card. How's that?
All right. You're getting warmer. Okay. You're still in.
All right, but let's move past that call, okay? Let's never forget it. But let's move past it.
Yeah. It's listen, that took a long time to get over.
You'll never get over it, Drew.
Do you totally get over it? No. Yeah. Do you totally get over it? No. But man, I I feel like I was taught a long time ago that if you sit there and worry about the things you can't control, then you're going to drive yourself absolutely nuts. So I know that there were things that happened throughout the course of that game that were in our control that would have changed the outcome. And so those are the things I'm focused on. I like our team. I love our team. And we've got all the pieces in place to make a run at it. And you got to prove it each and every week in this league. And that's what's so great about our game. That's why we love it. That's why you love it. That's why the fans love it, is that each and every week you have to show up. And there is nothing that's given, man. You got to earn everything.
I like it. All right, I feel a little bit better. Hey, great to talk to you as always, and we'll catch up during the season.
Sounds good. You still got my vote for competition committee.
Thank you. Yeah, you're the only one voting for me, but thank you. I'll take that. Thank you, Drew.
All right, Dan.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.